Fran Fraschilla, ESPN Westwood One college basketball analyst, and doing some studio work for the tournament. Fran, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Let me start with this. You're friends with Tom Izzo. Did he go above and beyond the Call of Duty last night?
Man, he got close. He really got close, Dan. I was cringing when I was watching it in the studio. Now, I have to tell you, you and I are of the same era, essentially the same heroes, too, by the way. And I think when you go play for Tom Izzo, you understand that he's going to get everything out of you, that he's going to put his arm around you and love you. And, oh, by the way, you know, when you show up at an NBA training camp and you're going to be fighting for the 12th spot on that team, and it's you and some guy from a school in the Pac-10, you've got a huge advantage because you've been coached hard in college. So I was actually rooting for the young man the rest of the game. And I did say on the air, Dan, I thought after Tom blew his temper that the team was spooked. You saw it in the huddle, everybody trying to calm him down. They did not play well, really, for the rest of the game. But thankfully, that young man, Aaron, came up with some big plays. I personally understand Tom. I know what he was trying to do. I think that he came very close. But on the other hand, man, this is how sometimes you get the most out of a kid. You have to know which buttons to push. And you're going to Michigan State knowing that that's part of the deal.
Best team you saw yesterday was who?
Ooh, well, the best performance, and it wasn't just the performance of the tournament by John Morant. I thought Murray State as a 12 seed, I mean, they hammered Marquette. So were they the best team yesterday? I'm not sure, but, man, that was breathtaking to watch. It really was. A kid like that, he reminds me of probably playing with Drew Brees. You know, if you go out 10 yards and run an out pattern, you know the ball's going to be there on time and on target. This kid's not only an outstanding athlete, but some of the passes he threw yesterday were absolutely breathtaking.
Could you make a case to take him number one overall in today's NBA?
Yes. Now, let me tell you what I've thought all along. I saw Zion last August when I bought my little ESPN Plus package, and they were on a trip to Canada. And I said to myself then, well, there's nobody like this kid. He's the number one pick in the draft. After watching John Morant, I still think Zion's going number one. But and I think Zion's going to be a terrific pro, by the way, and make $1 billion in the meantime. But if you are the Phoenix Suns, and you need a point guard because you have this incredible gift in Devin Booker, and you got DeAndre Ayton who's getting better by the month. You're probably still going to take Zion, but you really have to take a hard look at this kid. We may be watching a situation where, like Kevin Durant went number 2 and Jordan went number 3. We really could be watching the dawning of an age where we've got a kid from a small school in Western Kentucky who could end up being – I think he's going to be as good in the NBA as we saw yesterday because the way the rules are and the type of talent you play with, it's only going to magnify the things he already does great.
He reminded me a little bit. He reminds me a little bit of Russell Westbrook, that he goes straight at you. He's not afraid. He'll dunk on you. I think he's a scorer. I don't know if he's a great shooter. Now, judging from what I've seen so far, can you see any similarities there? And do you think he'll develop into a very good shooter, or is he going to be a scorer like Westbrook is?
Well, I think I've seen games this year where he's banged 2 or 3 threes in a row. I think, and again, if he gets to the Westbrook level, I think anybody who drafts him would be ecstatic. I actually think he's a much better passer at the same stage.
Yeah.
And it's not to take anything away from Russell's triple doubles, by the way, night in, night out. But the other thing you and I both know is when you don't have to go to Psychology 201 and American History 101, and you live in the gym as a professional player, and given the fact that it looks like he's made a huge jump from his freshman year to his sophomore year, and that apparently he loves to play and live in the gym, I can't see that he won't become at least an average to an above-average shooter. Obviously, if not a J.J. Redick, I don't see that in the cards. But I think he's going to shoot well enough to keep teams honest. But the way the rules are in the NBA, you can't hand check anybody. So he is flying to the basket, in my opinion.
He's Fran Fraschilla, ESPN Westwood One college basketball analyst. If you're Coach K, what do you say to Zion Williamson so he doesn't try to do too much?
I don't think. I think fortunately because they have a 16 versus 1 situation today. I think this is the ideal time for Zion and those other freshmen to get their feet wet. I don't think he says very much except just enjoy the moment. Let's do what we've done all year. The old standard coaching cliche. Let's start the 1-game winning streak. And I don't sense that you have to do much with this kid. I mean, he gets himself ready to play. He plays with a joy that I think has made him such a household name already. I think you may have to want to calm all those freshmen down a little bit. But I think the beauty of the tournament is, except for last year and the UMB situation with Virginia, I think they're going to be able to ease in this tournament and get their feet wet without too much trouble.
I know that we've talked about the draft with Zion and John Morant, but you're really educated in those European players. Is there a top 5 talent? Is there a Luka Doncic in this draft coming up?
I wish I could tell you there were, Dan, but there's not. There really isn't. There'll be a few kids drafted once again, middle of the late first round. But Haley's Comet passed over last year, and we may not see one for another 5 to 7 or 8 years. And hey, the kid what did he do? He just turned 20. Yeah, he turned 20 in February. What he's doing is actually surprising. I thought he would be a starter over his career, a high-level starter. I saw a little Ginobili in him. I saw a little Gordon Hayward. Good for him. He had a lot of doubters coming in because of where he comes from. But what we've seen in basketball in my lifetime is the basketball globe has shrunk incredibly. So now the kid from Slovenia is just as good as the kid from L.A. or Chicago.
But if we redrafted, who goes number 1 overall?
It's a tough call because I really like the way DeAndre Ayton's coming on. I think he's going to be an outstanding NBA player. But if you make me pick, given the early success, I'm going to take Doncic. But I'm not going to lie. And I don't want you to think I'm an international file now, and that I have a Dirk Nowitzki poster in my office, because I don't. But I do think that I did have DeAndre first, Luka second last year, and you can flip a coin right now, but Doncic is definitely off to a great start.
All right, give me the upset special today or tonight.
Oh, it caught me off guard because I got my stuff in my binder. I'll give you one. Let me see. I don't have that pick. Give me some teams, and I'll throw them at you because I'm getting ready to walk over to the studio.
All right, Paulie, throw out
North Carolina.
Well, they've got to walk over. I'll tell you a great game to watch tonight is a team that I think is going to win tonight and then maybe win another game, and that is maybe not. I don't know if they're going to be the number 1 seed, but watch out for Utah State. I really like this team. They've got and by the way, they have a terrific young big guy from Portugal. A fun game for people to watch tonight is going to be UCF and VCU. Now, VCU's starting point guard has been banged up. If Johnny Dawkins wins tonight, and we assume that Duke will win, then you have a matchup not only of arguably the greatest coach maybe in sports history or certainly in college basketball history, versus the guy that he claims was the reason Duke became Duke, and that is Johnny Dawkins. Arguably, in Jay Billis's mind, Tommy Amaker's mind, and Coach K's mind, the man that turned Duke around. So they've got to win tonight. They've got a very competent team, UCF, with Taco Fall, 7'6", other really good players. But Johnny Dawkins and his mentor on Sunday would be pretty cool. It just shows you how the basketball world comes full circle.
Fran, always great to catch up with you. Have fun, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Sounds good, Dan. Appreciate it.
That's Fran Fraschilla of the Mothership, working for Westwood One as one of their studio analysts.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.